Tonight, imagine the soft rustle of papery cacao shells as they slip into a small bowl. Breathe in. There is a faint chocolate perfume, a whisper of warmth. In about an hour from now, you could be holding a warm cup of Husk Tisane, sprinkling a tiny jar of toasted cacao salt on your porridge, or touching a gentle cocoa scrub to your palms. I'm Fiona, and on Earthy Remedy tonight, we rescue the husk. 3 small projects you can finish this evening, each measured for a single jar or single cup. Safety first and slow to make. Let's begin quietly.
Welcome back to Earthy Remedy, where nature's wisdom becomes everyday wellness. If you're new here, hello. If you're returning, it's always lovely to have you. Today's outcomes: 1 warm Husk Tisane for gentle sipping or spritzing, a 2 to 3 tablespoon jar of toasted cacao finishing salt, and a tiny 20 to 30 milliliter jar of gentle cocoa scrub, just right for a short, soothing tactile moment. The full recipe card is in the show notes, and I'll read every measure aloud slowly so you can cook along. If you like this kind of slow, sensory kitchen craft, please subscribe. It really helps keep these quiet projects coming.
Segment 1. A small pantry problem. Picture this. You pour cacao nibs into a grinder, you lovingly collect the fragrant nibs for baking, and there they are, the husks, those papery shells. You might have felt the impulse. Toss them, compost them, or perhaps tuck them into a jar and forget. I once watched a friend, Samnang, stand at the counter with a handful of husks and a sigh. She said, "They smell like the memory of chocolate, but what do I do with them?" That little moment of curiosity is exactly why we're here tonight. You are not alone in wondering if these leftovers might have a life beyond the compost bin.
Segment 2. Plant, and pantry science. What actually lives in those husks? The husks carry aromatic volatiles and gentle polyphenols, the compounds that give chocolate its woodsy, toasted, slightly bitter notes. They hold far less theobromine and caffeine than the nibs themselves. Theobromine is the stimulant in cocoa. Husks are low residue compared to processed chocolate, but they're not completely free of stimulant compounds. The evidence suggests that short toasting, or gentle, brief steeps, release aroma without concentrating stimulants, which is why our recipes favor very brief heat and conservative serving suggestions. Let's be clear about this. We're talking culinary aroma and gentle flavor, not medicinal doses. These are kitchen rituals, sensory first, therapeutic claims left at the door. A quick note on flavor. Toast brings out chocolatey, malty notes, a hint of tobacco-like warmth, and a gentle bitterness. Think of Husk Tisane as a faint chocolate echo rather than a cup of cocoa. That nuance is the point. Subtle, calming, and entirely gentle. Segment 3. Who this suits tonight and who might pause. If you are highly sensitive to stimulants, pregnant, nursing, or planning to serve this to young children, treat internal tasting conservatively. Start with a fingertip taste, dilute generously, or choose the salt and scrub as non-internal options. If you take medications where stimulants could matter, check with your provider before regular internal use. For topical use, anyone with sensitive skin should do a 24-hour patch test on the inner forearm before using a scrub. These are simple, practical safety steps we'll repeat later when we walk through the recipes. Segment 4. Quick introduction to the remedies and yields. Tonight, we'll make 3 small things. A single cup of Husk Tisane, 240 milliliters total, using 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of husks, a little jar of toasted cacao salt, about 2 tablespoons of flaky salt, finished with 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of very finely toasted ground husk, and an optional 1/4 teaspoon of citrus zest, and a gentle cocoa scrub, about 20 to 30 milliliters in a tiny jar, made from roughly 1 tablespoon of finely ground toasted husk, 15 to 20 milliliters of neutral oil, and 1 teaspoon of a soft abrasive, like sugar or oat bran. I'll slow the ingredient reads so you can write them down or follow along. Segment 5. Recipe walkthrough. First, the ingredient list. I'll read each set slowly and clearly. For the Husk Tisane, 1 to 1.5 tablespoons cacao husks, 240 milliliters of water, optional half teaspoon honey, or a tiny splash of milk if you like it slightly sweet. For substitutions, if you don't have fresh husks, use 1/2 teaspoon of very finely ground dried husk. If you want more floral notes, add a small pinch of dried orange peel at the steep. For toasted cacao salt, 2 tablespoons flaky sea salt, 1 to 1.5 teaspoons very finely ground toasted husk. Optional, 1/4 teaspoon finely grated citrus zest, lemon or orange. For the gentle cocoa scrub, 15 to 20 milliliters neutral oil, such as grapeseed or sweet almond, 1 tablespoon finely ground toasted husk, 1 teaspoon sugar or oat bran for a gentler grit. Equipment, a small pot, a small dry skillet, a fine sieve or cheesecloth, a spice grinder or mortar and pestle, a 20 to 30 milliliter sterilized jar for the scrub, and a small 2 to 4 ounce jar for the salt.
Now we move into the numbered steps. I will number each step and pause so you can follow along. Step 1. Briefly toast the husks. Use a dry skillet over medium heat. Add just the amount you need, no more than a handful. Toast for 30 to 60 seconds, stirring or shaking the pan constantly. You want the aroma to lift, not to char the husks. You'll smell a warm cocoa-like note. Ventilate, open a window, or turn on a small fan. If dust lifts, pause, let it settle, and continue gently in a covered mortar. That completes step 1.
Step 2. Make the husk tisane. Step 2A. Measure 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of your toasted husks and place them in a small pot. Step 2B. Pour 240 milliliters of cold water in and bring to a gentle simmer over medium-high heat. Step 2C. Once it reaches a gentle simmer, lower the heat and simmer for 4 to 6 minutes. Step 2D. Turn off the heat and let the husks steep in the pot for 5 minutes, covered to finish infusing. Step E. Strain through a fine sieve or cheesecloth into a cup. Taste a small sip. If you prefer a gentler cup, dilute 1 part infusion to 4 parts hot water for sipping, or 1 part infusion to 8 parts water for a linen or room spritz. If you add honey or milk, stir gently. Remember, this is low caffeine and subtle. You should notice aroma and a faint chocolate note rather than a full cocoa flavor. Step 3. Make the toasted cacao salt. After your toasted husks have cooled, grind 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of the toasted husk very fine in a spice grinder or mortar. If you prefer a chunkier texture, pulse briefly. In a small bowl, fold the ground husk into 2 tablespoons of flaky sea salt. Add an optional 1/4 teaspoon of finely grated citrus zest and mix until evenly distributed. Transfer to a small jar, label with the date, and store in a dry place. Use it as a finishing salt on porridge, roasted vegetables, or a pinch on dark chocolate desserts. A tiny taste on your fingertip will show the balance of salt, warmth, and gentle chocolate aroma. Step 4. Make the gentle cocoa scrub. Use a clean, sterilized tiny jar of about 20 to 30 milliliters. Measure 15 to 20 milliliters of a neutral oil. Grapeseed, sweet almond, or fractionated coconut are all fine choices. Add 1 tablespoon of finely ground toasted husk and 1 teaspoon of sugar or oat bran as the exfoliant. Stir until well combined. Tip: for sensitive skin, choose oat bran as the abrasive rather than sugar, and keep the oil on the lower end of the measure so the mixture is slightly paste-like rather than oily. Before using on your body, perform a 24-hour patch test on the inner forearm. If there is no redness or stinging after 24 hours, do a quick fingertip test and then gently massage a small amount onto clean, damp skin in circular motions for no more than 30 to 60 seconds. Rinse thoroughly and pat dry. Never apply to broken or inflamed skin. This is cosmetic only, not a medical treatment. Pause here and take a sensory beat. If you have a cooled cup, cradle it now. If you've made a tiny spoonful of salt, lift it to your fingertip and smell it. Notice the warmth of the husk aroma, the hint of citrus if you added it. This is the heart of the ritual, small, sensory, and satisfying. Segment 6, Storage and Serving Tips. Label each jar with the date. The Tisane keeps in the refrigerator for up to 48 hours. Warm gently before drinking or use it diluted as a linen spritz. The toasted cacao salt will keep for weeks if fully dry and stored in a sealed jar away from humidity. The scrub is best refrigerated and used within 4 to 6 weeks. Because it contains oil and a natural plant ingredient, keep it cool and use clean, dry spoons to remove it rather than fingers to reduce contamination. Make small batches. This is single jar craft, not bulk production.
Segment 7. Safety, cautions, and when to avoid. I'll repeat the most important steps slowly. First, 24-hour skin patch test for the scrub. Apply a small dab on the inner forearm and wait a full day. If you notice redness, swelling, or stinging, rinse and do not use. Second, ventilation while toasting or grinding husks. Open a window, turn on a fan, or do the grinding in a closed mortar to reduce airborne dust. If dust rises and irritates your eyes or throat, pause and let the air clear. Third, never apply scrub to sore or broken skin. Fourth, if you are pregnant, nursing, giving this to young children, or taking medications sensitive to stimulants, skip internal tasting unless cleared by a qualified provider. For internal tasting, start with a fingertip sample and use heavy dilution. 1 part infusion to 4 parts water for sipping, 1 to 8 or more for spritzing. These steps are simple and conservative by design.
Now, a quick reminder on theobromine and caffeine. Husks are low residue compared to nibs, but they are not stimulant-free. If you notice a rapid heartbeat, jitteriness, or trouble sleeping after trying a Tisane, stop and reduce the amount or omit internal tasting. When in doubt, choose the salt for food use or enjoy the scrub as a scent-only ritual rather than ingesting any infusion.
Segment 8. Reflection and encouragement. These tiny projects are about stewardship and attention, rescuing a pantry byproduct and turning it into 3 small rituals that add warmth and slow pleasure to an evening. If something isn't perfect, that's fine. This craft is forgiving. Make 1 cup, 1 jar, 1 small moment for yourself. Practice once, and the next time it will feel even easier. You've got this. Closing. If you made any of these tonight, I would love to hear how they turned out. Send a quick voice note or DM. Tell us if you loved the salt on your morning porridge or if the scrub surprised you. If you'd like recipes and a printable card, they're in the show notes. If you enjoyed this quiet craft, please subscribe so Earthy Remedy can keep bringing small, safety-first rituals into your kitchen. Listen to your body. Trust the earth. Feel the difference. Thank you for sharing this slow moment with me. Until next time, breathe the tiny comforts of your kitchen and take care.